Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
All right, we're back. Welcome to episode 320 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris.
And my name's Chrissy.
We're recording today out of our brand new location. We're in the process of setting up our office right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at Access Co-working Space located at 175 West and 200 South on the Garden level. I am excited to be downtown recording.
Oh my gosh, I love getting that we can record downtown and have all of the activity and the hustle and the bustle. It's very exciting.
And what's really cool is our office that we are setting up here. There's a big window right outside of our recording spot. So maybe people can come and hang out and watch us record.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. We're going to do workshops and classes. Stay tuned for that. We're going to let you guys know what's going on with that. Hey, but today on the podcast, I am excited for this one, Chrissy. We finally got the chance to find out the story of Lucky 13. I've been curious of it. You know, I go there and I get their burgers, but I never really knew the story of how it all started.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. And it's really interesting. While we were talking to Rob, I realized how much I've eaten at Lucky 13.
I think everybody here, I think everybody in Salt Lake City have. I mean, we go there and we get their burgers, but now we get the chance. Rob Dutton came and sat down with us. We found out his story. We found out the story of Lucky 13. We're going to get into that conversation here in just a minute. I, of course, want to tell you about our podcast sponsors for this episode. We're proudly sponsored by Five Wives Vodka, The Melting Pot, and the Salt Lake Barber Company. We're going to tell you more about these awesome businesses here shortly. Before we get into the conversation, we, of course, want to tell you about our website, iamsaltlake.com. This is where you can go and listen to all the back episodes of the podcast. They're all right there. As much as some of them, I mean, especially some of the beginning episodes, it's like, I don't want to.
They're a ton of fun. They're a ton of fun to go back and see the progress, you know?
Everything's right there. Ways to subscribe to the podcast.
You can learn more about us and connect with us and the rest of the I Am Salt Lake community through there.
All right there at iamsaltlake.com. All right, Chrissy, are you ready? Let's play the conversation that we had with Rob Dutton when he came over to our office and shared his story. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. Did you grow up here in Salt Lake City, or where's home for you?
Born in Nashua, New Hampshire, Army brat. So all over. I went to school in Livorno, Italy, Huntsville, Alabama, and Milton, Freewater, Oregon. So I've gone all over.
So is there a favorite?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is there a favorite place that you lived growing up?
Yeah. You know, I was in Italy through puberty, and there were topless beaches. So
that's a winner.
Answers that.
And I'm sure you still remember it, right? It's
Absolutely.
Still in the back of your mind, and you're still to this day. You're like, I want to go. I want to go back there. Wow. So what brought you to Salt Lake City of all places? All these beautiful places you've lived. Even New Hampshire is a beautiful state.
So I came here in '94, December 1st, 1994, because the Olympics were coming, and I knew I can get construction work. So that's what brought me to Utah.
So you were a construction worker.
Yep.
Just like framing houses or
roofing.
Oh my gosh. I had a stepdad that was a roofer.
Yeah, that's tough
and,
work.
He would always come home, just looked miserable, but he would always get out early in the morning because you didn't want to go out in the middle of the afternoon with all that heat.
Sit in the sun.
Especially in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So that's what you did when you first got here. You would roof houses.
Yeah, that's what I did until about 2001. Oddly enough, I was out of the construction business before the Olympics even got here.
And what did you do? Where did you what made you leave that field?
Because who wouldn't want to leave?
Roofing sucks.
Yeah. Why would you want to stay?
There is that part of it. I was fortunate enough to only be with 3 different businesses while I was in construction. The last 2 just couldn't uphold the workload and couldn't keep me busy. So the final straw was they let me off and said there's no more work for us. And like every good white-blooded American, I just sat at the bar and had some beers, and that's where I got my job in the beer industry.
So talk about that. Where were you drinking beers, and where did you get your job?
Trolley Wing Company, the little trolley car downtown in Trolley Square under the water tower, was the first place I got in and started pouring beer.
Wow. So you were worked as a bartender right away?
Yep.
Was that your first bartending gig?
Yes. That was the first of everything.
in anything, first of everything in the food industry.
So no experience. They just said, get behind the bar.
Man, that's like,
wow.
What do you think of bartending? I've actually thought about becoming a bartender, but now I feel kind of old to do it. But
you're never too old.
I don't know, man. I just think, I think you got to be like young and sexy, right? Like,
when I was originally going through school, I had two goals. I wanted to be a Marine sniper, and I wanted to be Tom Cruise from Cocktail. And
well, you got the Tom Cruise from Cocktail.
The Marines wouldn't have me, so I kind of just said, all right, if this is available, this is the route I'm going. And that's where that started.
And this was back in the 90s.
So the bartending part of it was early 2000s, 2001.
Which is still a long time. I mean, for Utah, I bet you the liquor laws were even crazier back then from what I can remember. I mean, I was living here during the Olympics, but I don't really remember everything.
A lot's changed in even the last, 5-10 years?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Since we've opened, there's been a lot of changes.
Positive, negative?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Nothing really is offsetting.
We take a step forward, but then we go backwards with a lot of weird laws and
you will not find anyone in this industry that doesn't agree with you on that. Like if you go 2 steps forward, you're taking 4 steps back.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
Well, okay, are you a licensed as a restaurant or a bar?
We are a bar.
21 I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The little sign. Do you still have to have that sign in the window, right?
We do have that sign still, unfortunately, yes.
Oh, wow. Well, let's back up. Before we get to Lucky 13, I want to back up just a little bit. So you're working at Trolley Wing Company. How long were you there for?
Through 3 owners. I was there 7.5 years.
Oh, so bartending the whole time, or did you dabble around and making wings? And
no, so it was a one-man show at that point in the trolley car. You're pouring beers and making wings, and there's no support staff. You're doing everything. Yeah. And, I kind of got a notarization for being the asshole behind the bar. And I really was, but there was 10 bar stools and I wanted to know who was going to sit there. I wanted somebody there that I was going to spend time with.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It was kind of a selective clientele. That being said, I was really good at making those wings.
So you would hang out, get to talk with people. You probably got to meet a lot of really cool people from Salt Lake City. A lot of people probably traveling. Are you still in contact with any of those people?
You know what? It's incredible the amount of friendships that were built out of that little train car. And it still to this day, last week, there was a 40th birthday party for a person that came, from a person that came from there, and almost half the people that were there were from that spot. They all met there.
That is so awesome.
That is so cool.
I want that little train car back.
And it just sits wrapped in a parking lot by itself right now.
Oh, so I don't know. Did we talk about that with Jeff? I don't think when we had Jeff on the podcast.
He was going to bring it into the gateway, right? And they wanted to build it in.
So the actual physical train car sits south of Trolley Square in their parking lot, wrapped with a tarp, and they've got a temporary fence around it. It just sits there.
That's depressing.
Yeah, we should go break down the fence, unwrap it.
So Trolley owns it then?
Yeah.
I wonder if they plan on anyway. That's a whole nother subject. So fast forwarding a little bit, did you have other jobs in the food industry before Lucky 13, or did you pretty much go from the Trolley Wing Company to Lucky 13?
That was it. Trolley Wing Company. I mean, I worked a few months, probably almost a year at Poplar Street, but yeah, no, Trolley Wing Company to Lucky 13. That was that.
How did Lucky 13, how did that come about? Was there like an idea one day, or is there much of a story there, or much of a story you care to share?
One day is putting it lightly. So the 2 owners of Trolley Wing Company at that time, we kind of knew it was going to happen. I was going to be the running of it and this and that. And we were going to open something together, the 3 of us. And we literally sat in my little office in my room, right around the corner. And we were there for about 10 hours figuring out concept, what we wanted to do, where we're going to go. And it was a full day discussion. And I was very passionate. Burgers is where we need to head. It's an American staple. That's where we need to be. We need to head in that direction. At the time, I knew there was a burger joint in town that had been well known for a long time. Everyone always talked about one burger joint. That's the place to go. And that's what I wanted to
create with Lucky 13.
That's where I wanted to be.
Approximately what year was this, just for frame of reference?
So we started discussing the concept in 2009 when we knew we had the ability to get the current location we have. And what are we going to do? Once we have it, now what do we do? Where are we going? What are we going to do from there? And that's where that conversation just started and went from there.
It's a great location. I mean, right by the ballpark.
I love that location.
I mean, and just right. I mean, it's a great
so
location.
great.
It's a lot of traffic too, you know.
Where did Lucky 13 come from?
So originally I had already been talking to the person that owned that place. It was Lucky 13 after it was VFW Atomic Post 4355. And the person that owned it at that time already named it Lucky 13. We wanted to come in with another name, and we were actually shooting for Porter Rockwell's Public House, and then found out there were some legal issues and we didn't want to get buried in that. So we just kept the name Lucky 13 and completely changed the attitude and the appearance and everything else that was involved in it at that time. And that's it. We made Lucky 13 ours at that point.
The concept started in 2009, like the idea when you started. How long did it take before you opened the doors?
We opened in 2009, September of 2009.
Oh, wow. So pretty quick.
You guys were just all over it.
There usually is not much pause on us. We just go from there.
You know what? That's what you have to do, though, because if you pause and wait, you can think about it for decades.
And if you think about it too long, it's over with. You're going to change it a million times, and the original concept is always going to be the best concept you had.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we started recording and I brought up like the owner, you said you have one other owner with
Ron Lay. Ron Lay is my partner.
Ron Lay's your partner. I just want to make sure to give him credit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know?
So I opened the bar originally, me, Jason Stuckey, and Ron Lay, the three of us opened it in 2009, and Ron Lay and I are currently the owners of Lucky 13.
Awesome. Should we jump right in? I think there's a lot of questions in our Facebook community, our I Am Salt Lake Facebook community, which I can't urge. Everybody should be part of it because we like to throw out there, if anybody has questions before we interview people. And there's a bunch of questions here, Rob. So hopefully we'll see how it goes.
You're in the hot seat.
Yeah. Well, no, they're fun questions. Let's just start right at the top here with Brittany Hemingway. She asks a bunch in here, so we'll kind of go down the line. It says, what mistakes has he made? So that's a kind of an open question.
I've made plenty of mistakes. I mean, you learn from your mistakes all the way down the chain. Every time you make a mistake, you get better. So I know I've made a lot of mistakes, not just with Lucky 13, but in life. We've made mistakes. And every day I make a mistake. You get better every time you make a mistake.
The next one here is, what are the biggest lessons he's learned? That's kind of a tough one, probably.
Yeah. The biggest lesson I'm still trying to learn is to be a people person, because that is something that's not my personality. So being a people person is the lesson I'm still continually learning.
Yeah.
Is that really hard?
It is extremely hard.
Are you naturally an introvert?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And then here he is opening a restaurant, and he's got to say hello, and he's got to ask for IDs.
The closest people to me will tell you this is not who I am. And I mean, even coming here tonight, microphone in front of my face, I'd rather somebody else be doing this, but
I'm proud of you.
See, you could have fooled me. You totally seem like a people person.
The next question here from her is, what's his favorite part of his job?
The people around me. I have an amazing staff. The people I've had in and out of my staff, whether they're still working with me or they have worked with me and they've moved on for other reasons, every one of those people have helped make Lucky 13 what it is today. That's the favorite part of what I've got going on.
Dude, the vibe there is amazing. Yeah. Like, it's always a good vibe. I get great service from your people, you know?
Well,
from your people.
That's from your people. You just want to hang out there.
Yeah.
Like,
again, it's an amazing creation that I wish I can say every part of it's me, but it's not. We've got an amazing crew. Every part, top to bottom, kitchen, front of house, back of house, everything works well.
She also asks on here, what's something people might be surprised to learn about his job / responsibilities?
I never went to school for any of this.
Did you go to school? A little bit?
Yeah, I dropped out in the 9th grade. That's something a lot of people don't know. Yeah, the 9th grade was the highest I made through the education system.
So drop out, kids.
Yeah.
You can be a successful restaurateur.
Do not drop out, please. Still do not do that.
But you struggled a little bit because of that, I'm sure. Going through the construction industry, I learned a lot of my management technique, I would say, through the owner of the construction industry I was in. But
Yeah, no, it's an ongoing learning thing. Every day I learn something new, and I'm 41 years old and I'm learning something every day.
Well, and how often do you remember things from 20 years ago or 30 years ago? Like,
how often do I remember things from 20 days ago?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I mean, education really starts in the workforce, don't you think?
Well,
in your every day to day, you're constantly learning and growing.
I learned more about the history of the United States after high school and outside of high school than I did ever in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Brittany had another question here. Wow, Brittany just loaded us up.
Brittany is full of questions.
If you were to open a new restaurant, venue, or business, what would it be?
Well, Brittany, stay tuned. We've got some hot pans on the fucking stove right now.
Do you really?
Yes, sir.
You can't talk about it, I'm sure, then.
I'm going to keep that quiet right now.
Okay, fair enough.
I like it. A little
fair
teaser.
enough. I like that. A little teaser. You heard it first here on I Am Salt Lake. Nothing. No. Anyways, James Lamb, he was actually on the podcast back in like 5 years ago.
Wow.
He asks, what is his favorite go-to burger at his place? What is your favorite go-to burger?
Bacon stinky cheeseburger, hands down.
Yeah?
That's my thing. Yep.
There we go. So look at that. That was an easy one here for you. Blaine Nielsen asks, when I was there, I had a mac and cheese burger and it was the bomb. What are his influences?
Smoked 4-cheese mac and cheeseburger. We run that on Saturdays. And when I originally fired that special off, I wanted it to be a college football special. Like we want a reason to have people come in, enjoy a burger, watch college football. And I'd played around with a couple different recipes, and a good friend of mine had said, "Hey, have you looked at this? And this website's doing it this way." And I looked at that base, and that changed the entire way I was looking at it. And that's where that came from, honestly.
So do you actually come up with the recipes? Who's the genius behind the delicious burger?
Yeah, so I mean,
it's been a combination.
It's been an evolving situation through the years and the days and the hours. Right now, me and Ron Lay this morning, we sat down and finalized what we're going to launch for our St. Patrick's Day special for our game burger. We're going to have 2 different specials for St. Patrick's Day running for 4 days, 2 different burger specials.
Do you care to share what they are, or is that a surprise too?
The Lucky Irishman we've had around for a while. That's our house smoked corned beef with Guinness onion sauce on top.
Yeah, that's right.
I had that one
last year around St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
And so this morning we finalized the Coin and O'Hare, which is it's our little play on words. It's actually I'm going to call it ground rabbit's foot because I can. But it's a ground rabbit patty mixed with our house game seasoning, topped with grilled onions, an Irish whiskey cheddar on top of a red cabbage slaw in a potato bun. Again, I like playing around with things. You've got cabbage, you've got potatoes, you've got Irish whiskey. And the burger's delicious.
That sounds amazing.
Well, I know where we're going.
I have so many questions.
Well, I gotta take you for it, at least.
I need all the burgers. And I heard you guys, do you have kangaroo burger?
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Because I always want to, every time I'm like, I need to get in there when they have one of those cool.
How do you get kangaroo meat, or is that a top secret?
It's not a top secret. They're farmed, unfortunately, for health code reasons. We have to get everything off the farm, but we've been fortunate enough to run the gauntlet. I mean, we've had kangaroo, antelope, we had gator, frog, snake. I mean, we've run through a whole gauntlet of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Unfortunately, some of them just didn't work.
Which one didn't work?
Well, frog was a hard one. Gator was a hard one. They
like a burger, like a full-size burger that was a frog.
Completely. Yeah. It's just things like that. And for me, the frog idea came from, some time spent down in New Orleans, and it just didn't, the flavors were there. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't work.
And it's probably kind of not very cost effective either to do specialties like that, because you don't know how much to really bring in, or is it until it sells out?
Fun is it?
Well, usually our game meats, we run until they sell out. The cost effective side, I mean, we run burgers through Christmas season. We run a caribou reindeer burger, and they're not cost effective. We're not
but it's for fun.
Retire off of them, but they're amazing burgers and they're for fun. So
is there a way people can actually track and know when you're bringing different burgers out so they can know when they want to come in and try things?
Oh, absolutely. Our website, every day, our specials are listed on our website. They're listed on all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
You should get like a Culver's app. You know, they have the custard of the day. You should have
I've never heard
Lucky
of them.
13 app. Oh my God.
He's never heard of Culver's. Culver's. Well, I think there is a Culver's here though, right?
I think he's being sarcastic.
You're being sarcastic. Okay. Okay. Well, I didn't hear of Culver's until I went out to Wisconsin and visited her family. Braxton, he has some questions and he actually has a really cool podcast, Birds and the Bee. Was it Birds and Bees podcast?
Birds and Bees, yep.
He's got a bunch here too. How did he land that property? Beautiful place and great location.
I had actually been tracking that property 2 years before we even moved into it, to be honest with you. I was already in discussions with the business operator at that time. And I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
It had a dated look at that time. I think a lot of people in the Valley knew that's where you could stop and get a couple shots and a beer before you went over to the game. But it needed some pop to it. It needed something else. And I knew for a fact I could bring that to that location.
And then he asked, how are you managing parking? So I'm not really sure what he means by that one. I guess all the parking maybe over at tracks.
Well, so we do have a limited parking lot. Unfortunately, we're probably about 8 spots. And a lot of people complain about our parking, but I'm guessing those people have never been to places like the Beer Hive or Piper Down or any of those places.
Yeah.
But we do have a little bit of a parking issue. We have a lease agreement with Sears that owns the Bees parking lot to the east of us, and we have a gate through there. And as long as there's not a Bees game, we've got that entire parking lot.
And I don't think a lot of people know that either.
Yeah, and that's I try to put it out there as much as possible. There's banners on the fence and tracks across the street. There's plenty of parking.
Can you get in trouble for parking though in the tracks parking lot? I've always wondered
We've
that.
totally done that.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
Well, no, I parked over there, but I've always wondered, am I going to get towed?
If you didn't get towed and I haven't got towed, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
Okay. Fair enough. I like that. And then he also asked on here, most of all, how did he decide to make the Lucky 13 challenge? And did it bring more business?
Oh man, the Lucky 13 challenge. So
what is for people listening that aren't familiar? It's like eating 2 big burgers, right? Like
it's like eating 2.5 pound burgers.
Yeah. Have you done this challenge? Have
fries,
you done it?
No.
You seem like you would do it though, wouldn't you know?
So I have a very close friend. As we open the bar, have a very close friend, Ben Olson. You know, he was again a regular at the Trolley Wing Company, and we just kept making a burger until it was to the point where he said, all right, let's do this. And he ate just that burger by himself. Again, 350-pound man ate the burger by itself in 12 minutes, just the burger.
Ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's 4 7-ounce patties, 4 strips of bacon, 4 slices of ham, 4 slices of cheese, grilled onions, a bun. I mean, this thing's a big, massive burger. He ate that thing, and that was it. That's on the menu. And then we went for what is now called the Bear Burger after Jamie the Bear McDonald. And that's 2 patties, grilled cheese style. Each bun is a grilled cheese stuffed with jalapenos, habaneros, and on top of the burger is jalapenos and habaneros. So,
do you need a fork and a knife to eat this? Because no one has that big of a mouth.
Not if you want the money.
Oh, for real?
You got to get in there for the money.
No way.
Yeah, you can't use a fork. You have to hold it, right? And there's like rules.
If you use a fork and a knife, you're wasting time.
Well, that's probably true.
So the first person to ever take on the challenge did it in 57 minutes. I apologize. I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
57 minutes, and he did the challenge. I already had 2 competitive eaters coming in to take on the challenge, and he did it 2 days in advance.
Wow.
So then again, Jamie, the Bear McDonald came in. him and another person, and they did the entire challenge in just under 15 minutes.
Where's this Jamie? Is he from Salt Lake, Jamie?
No, he's on the East Coast.
He just like flies around to do food challenges?
He did our challenge.
That would be an awesome job.
He did our challenge and left for the Voodoo Donut Challenge in Portland. The next day, just on the plane, he's gone.
Does he make money from this?
I don't think he does it anymore, to be honest with you. He owns Jamie's the Bears Smokehouse on the East Coast now, and he's got a couple locations now. But yeah, he.
Well, you can win money though with your challenge.
So
right?
if you do the entire challenge in less than the 57 minutes originally set, it's $200 cash. If you break the current record for doing it the fastest, which is now 12 minutes for the entire challenge, held by a 150-ish pound female.
What?
Really? I want to high five that.
That's $2,000.
But if you don't do it, then you got to buy the burgers.
You're buying the burgers.
Yeah, you're out the money. And it's not cheap for all the burgers either.
No,
Molly Schuler came in, and she came in right at opening. She was waiting for the doors to open. The doors opened. She was the only one in there and ordered the challenge and put it down in 12 minutes.
No way.
And it was
nobody even watching her.
No, well, our staff always watches. If there's a challenge going on, somebody has to stay on watching that the entire time. Everyone has a reason, but some people might want to try something different.
Do you
film
it at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are they on YouTube?
If you go to our Facebook page and our YouTube page, we've got quite a few of these videos of these people trying this. And honestly, it's a social media gold mine.
Sure.
People love watching people that try to do this.
Well, then it's great. It's great for you.
I would love it.
We actually need to take a quick break here to play a message from our sponsors, but then there's a few more questions and then more questions from us for Rob when we come back. So hang tight and we'll be back and talk more burgers. All right, Chrissy, it's that time of the podcast where we take a few minutes and tell everybody about our sponsors. These are some awesome local businesses that are helping keep this podcast going. So make sure to go a little out of your way, support these awesome local businesses because they are doing everything they can to help keep this podcast going. This episode of the podcast is proudly sponsored by Five Wives Vodka. When you're in Texas, you drink Tito's, but when you're in Utah, you better be drinking Five Wives Vodka. So the next time you're at your local bar or state liquor store, ask for Five Wives.
I know I always keep one on my shelf.
They have 3 different flavors we want to tell you about. They have the original Five Wives Vodka. This is made from Utah mountain spring water. It's 100% distilled corn, and it's gluten-free, which is, of course, a favorite of mine. The spring is hidden up in beautiful Ogden Canyon. It's inaccessible by vehicle, so they actually have to hike it out 5 gallons at a time.
Which is so cool. They also make Five Wives Sinful, which is a cinnamon flavored vodka. And it's not cinnamon like sugary and leave a weird taste in your mouth. It's like a delicious morning cinnamon roll. And it's only 76 calories per ounce.
There's also the Five Wives Heavenly, which is like a delicious vanilla taste. It's Heavenly's rich, buttery vanilla flavor. It comes through without coating your taste buds with sugar. And with this results in more vanilla and less calories.
I have to tell you, I have a lot of friends who have given me sugary vodkas, and they are the worst. I've been avoiding them forever, even flavored vodkas. But these guys make such a great flavored vodka that you want to keep having it.
You can pick it up at any of your state local liquor stores here in the Utah area. Head on over to their website, fivewivesvodka.com. Find out more information. There's recipes up there. Everything you want to know about them. And many thanks again to Five Wives Vodka for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by The Melting Pot. The Melting Pot is locally owned and operated right downtown on the corner of Market and Main. You can experience unique tableside dining with friends, family, or an intimate date night.
We actually had a date night there this week.
It was a lot of fun, Chrissy.
Oh my gosh. You know, one time I want to go on a real date night without the baby, but they were so accommodating that we brought a little child too.
What I really liked is you have this like really intimate setting. Mm-hmm. So you're not even noticing everybody else there at the restaurant. And our waiter, Tyler, he was very knowledgeable when it came to gluten-free eating, as well as the keto diet.
Yeah, he knew all the diets, all the restrictions, and he knew exactly what to tell us to order to fit within whatever we were doing at the moment. And he gave me some delicious wine pairings. Probably the best wine pairings I've ever had with dinner.
The meat, the fondue, excellent dining experience. Like I said, they're located right in downtown on the corner of Market and Main. If you're riding the tracks, take the Gallivan Center drop to catch food and drink specials or your Melting Pot favorites. Many thanks again to the Melting Pot for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by the Salt Lake Barber Company. They're located right in the central 9th district of downtown Salt Lake City at 10 East, 800 South, right there on the corner of 8th and Main. They offer some haircuts, beard trims, straight razor shaves.
And they do such an amazing job. Every time you come home, I am just loving it.
One of the barbers there, Isaac, we've actually had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, he does a great job down there. He's one of the barbers down there. I have a goal of getting each of the barbers on the podcast, sharing their story. They are a true community barbershop. They're focused on providing the best work environment possible and allowing barbers to always provide the highest quality experience while in the chair.
They even take walk-ins, but you can also book an appointment online at saltlakebarberco.com.
That's what I do. It guarantees a haircut. It guarantees you get in there. Like I said, they offer haircuts, beard trims, straight razor shaves. Their website, saltlakebarberco.com. Go support them and tell them thanks for sponsoring I Am Salt Lake podcast. I mentioned this on the last episode, Chrissy, and I want to say this, that if anybody takes any pictures of any of our sponsors, say you're getting a haircut, say you're at the Melting Pot, say you have a Five Wives vodka, take a picture, tag us and them on social media, and we'll send you stickers, beer koozie. We'll send you some free swag for doing it.
Plus, we just really like to see your faces.
And we thought this would be a great way to kind of create a little interaction with you guys. So anyway, support these great local companies because they're supporting the podcast. Let's get back to that conversation that we had with Rob Dutton as we find out the story of Lucky 13. It's from
Shelby Stanley Galley asks, how did you come up with the peanut butter bacon burger? It scared me at first, but now it's my favorite.
Dude, that was so good. So good. That little layer of peanut butter.
He made me try it. And oh my gosh, it's life-changing.
It really is. And I'll be honest with you, I've got a good friend that lives down in California now, and he kept telling me, try it, just put peanut butter on your burger. Just do it. And it's like, man, no, I'm not going to do it. There's no way. And he moved out of the state and I went for it, and God, that changed everything. And that's the conception of everyone is you're terrified of it.
Yeah.
But you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. There is no middle ground with that burger. You either think it's the best thing in the world or you're turned off by it.
Well, how many people don't like it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, I'd go 80-20. Probably most people like it and 20% don't like it.
Well,
and that's fair.
Wrong.
There's more burgers on the menu. Give those a try.
Yeah.
See, I was very scared. And then Chris is like, we have to go and you have to eat it. And I was very skeptical, but
I was like, you're going to love this, Chrissy.
I still dream about it.
Yeah. It's a delicious burger. Brittany Hemingway actually snuck in 2 more questions. Go, Brittany. When we asked it in our Facebook group.
I love Brittany.
Oh, she's fun. She wants to know, what's a key ingredient to a good burger?
Quality product. I mean, that's where it's at. Fresh produce, fresh meat, fresh buns. Everything we do is fresh. It's top. We're not gonna skimp on anything. If it's not right, we're not gonna serve it.
Do you get a lot of your products here locally?
As much as possible.
As much
Absolutely,
as possible.
Yeah. Vosen's Bakery makes our buns every single day. We have a place up north. I'm not saying where.
No, that's fine.
They grind our burger meat, and we won't accept anything that isn't packaged within 2 days. So if they grind it and it's not to us within 3 days complete, then we're not serving it, period. And that's where we're at with that.
Brittany has one more question in here. She wants to know what ruins a burger for you. Because I'm sure you've had a lot of burgers outside of your
well done.
Oh, yes. Agreed. Yes.
What's wrong with a well-done burger?
Yuck. They have to be medium to medium rare, in my opinion.
Okay, here's a question for you. What do you think? This is going to sound really weird for me to probably ask this. Do you have a favorite fast food burger?
Do I have a favorite fast?
I'm just curious that somebody like you that has, you have these gourmet burgers. Like, what do you think of a place like McDonald's?
What's your favorite crappy burger?
I don't know that I've heard of that place before, but working in Trolley Square, getting off, working doubles as long as I did. There was a place on 4th South. I think it had a redhead for a mascot, and I used to grab a couple of burgers from there on the way home.
Yeah. Fair enough. What award has Lucky 13 won that you are the proudest of?
World Burger Champion.
Is that the one you're holding in your Facebook profile picture?
Yes.
All right.
So talk about that. What is it? How does it work? I mean, is it easy to explain or
no? None of it's easy. None of that. World Burger Champion.
Out of how many places?
Did that catch on there? Okay. Did you get that? World Burger Champion. So we were fortunate enough in 2012 to be invited to Las Vegas for the first World Food Championships. And they basically went state by state and judging off of what everyone had to offer in that state. So Utah had, if they have the best dessert, those people are going down. If they have the best burger, those people are going down. And this was a world competition. There were people coming up from Puerto Rico, Germany, Belgium, all across the board. They came down for a competition, and it was very, very stressful. And it was, give us your best at this point. Show us what you have. And at that time, we were just grateful to be there. I mean, man, we were open for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're on the stage in Vegas I'm sorry, not Fremont Street, but on the Strip.
Yeah.
In front of the Paris. And we're here in a competition with people from across the world. And yeah, we put our best foot forward.
So you actually cook it or all that right in front of
We
them?
went down there. We were fortunate enough to be this close to Vegas. So we loaded up the truck with everything I know how to cook with while I'm camping, because we don't know what we're walking into. Everything I'm comfortable with, everything we can get for the freshest ingredients that morning on our way out the door. We wanted to bring our best performance down there. We might have had a little bit of an edge because we're so close, but we brought everything we had. And yeah, we went down there and we presented the Celestial Burger.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one too.
I think I've had too many of your burgers because I know I've eaten every one we're talking about.
We cooked on a, camp chef with a flat iron and cooked our onions in the Dutch oven and went to town and gave them everything we had. And that competition was a lot. We sat out there. Awards were later that night, and after a day of work like that, we kind of sat around, maybe had a beer or two, and stood out there and just listened to him name off 9 names. And we're like, man, this is unfortunate, but we had a good time in Vegas. And then they called us for number 1. That was different. That was something I've never done before.
Wow. I mean, do you remember how you felt or anything? I mean, was it just mind blowing or what?
I wanted to go up there and it was more than I wanted to handle. And at that point I was like, I don't know what to do with this. This is a lot.
Did it feel like a lot of pressure to continue to make? It
didn't feel like
stuff?
A lot of pressure until they told us they were taking the winner of every category, 7 categories, and putting them against each other. So at that point, we were up against world's best barbecue. We were up against world's best sandwich, world's best recipe, world's best chef, world's best chili.
That's like comparing apples and oranges, like literally comparing apples and oranges. Totally different foods.
Was all completely different. And they had a lot of good judges up there, a lot of popular people, a lot of named chefs. And we went up there and we took second place overall.
Wow.
And that's thousands of people that were competing that we took second place overall against. Do you
have background in cooking? Or is it just something that you're naturally gifted at?
So Trolley Wing Company.
Well, Trolley Wing Company
making those wings.
I mean, I love food, but I don't think I could make
I'm not going to take all the credit for any of that. I'll be honest with you.
Come on, Rob. Take the credit, man.
There's no way. I mean, at the time, there were still 3 of us, and, nobody has any culinary training whatsoever. It's all taste, repeat, try over, and go from there. And, 2 firefighters and a roofer, we took world's best burger.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
And you win like best burger in Utah, like pretty much every year, or no?
There is
a couple years not.
No. Since we've opened, we've gotten City Weekly Best of every year, and there's KSL. We pretty much get a lot of awards for our burgers.
So every time we bring somebody on this podcast, and I've had over 315 people on this show, I would say 8 out of 10 of them. If you say, what are some of your favorite local eating places? Lucky 13 gets brought up, man.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's part of Salt Lake City. Well, how does that, that's got to be a little overwhelming.
It's not, I can't say that it's something we ever expected whatsoever. It's never something I even thought was possible for myself personally. But I'm just grateful, and my staff's grateful. We're just love to be in the namesake. If we're brought up, we love it.
Yeah. You still having fun?
I'm still going through it.
Way to dodge the question, Rob.
Do you have 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you would give to someone that might want to open up their own business, whatever kind of business it is?
Don't be afraid. Be financially responsible, but don't be afraid. If you think it's going to work and you have it in your mind and people around you tell you it's going to work, don't be afraid to try something different. Try something outside of the box.
Because when you opened up Lucky 13, I'm sure you had a lot of fear, right?
Oh, there are well-known local burger places in town that are chains and a very well-established single location burger place. And we're going against all of them at the same time. We're coming running right out of the gate against well-established Salt Lake business icons. And don't have fear with that. Just go at it. Go for it.
Imagine a Salt Lake City with no Lucky 13. That's
I would have lost like half of my happy experiences. I seriously take people there all the time from out of town.
Yeah,
every time someone comes into town.
It's a great. We're this poor Rob over here.
No.
I'm fangirling. I'm fangirling.
Shut up
13.
over here. What do you know now that you wished you would have known when you started all this?
Communication.
Just
with my background, and the person I am, I'm not a very good communicator.
Sure.
We've had up to 65 employees before, and that all falls back on me. And communication's a big thing. I've learned the hard way since we've opened that communication's key, not just in business, but in life. Communication's something that's very important.
Have you read books, or is there any kind of advice you would give to someone who wants to improve their communication?
No. I honestly, I'm sorry. I can't say there's any way. I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I've learned the real hard way. And, as far as reading books, it's within the last
Tony Robbins event.
In the last 6 months, I've started reading more books about my own personal passions, but nothing as far as the management side of it.
Yeah.
What's been the most rewarding thing for you with owning a restaurant?
With owning a restaurant, I'm going to say, just like you guys have mentioned, we have a name for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're well known. I travel and people know Lucky 13. People can bring up Lucky 13 in the same breath with Red Iguana, and that's huge.
Yeah.
We're way younger of a company than they are, and people have heard of us, people have seen us, and we've been out there, and that's huge. The way that the locals bring us in and make us theirs, and everyone loves Lucky 13, and that's it. That's everything I wanted. Was we're here, we're giving you the best product we can give you. You like it or not, like one thing or don't like one thing, we're giving you the best we have every day.
What's been the most challenging thing?
I would say the most challenging thing has come probably in the last few years. The availability of reliable employment is probably the most challenging thing.
Is that just because there's not I guess enough people. There's more jobs than there are people, I guess.
Especially, even more recently, it's really like a market for people to find jobs, and it's hard to find good employees.
It's a national issue, and it's not people that want to work. It's people that are willing to put in the work. We'll bring in people, and it's a lot. I interviewed 25 people over 2 days, brought 3 of them in to actually see what they can do, and ended up maintaining 2 people, like keeping them on board. And that was it. We have people come in, say they want to work. They'll work one shift and you'll never hear from them again.
What do you think causes that, though? Hard work? Is it?
I really don't know that I want to say that.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Claim the fifth. But you know what? Every time I've been in there, and clearly I've been in there probably too much, your servers have been so incredible. Like, I always have a really great time, and everyone is so friendly and so helpful.
The staff we have is they put everything they have into it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're much like anyone else in town. We meet constantly. We have full staff meetings once a month, department meetings once a month, and our staff get tired of it, but we want to make sure that everything Lucky 13 and its employees puts forward is the absolute best that we can put forward, and that we're all on the same page with that. Do we hit the mark every single time? No one does. There never is there going to be somebody that's going to hit it every single time, but we're going to give you everything we have.
Yeah.
Do you work a lot of hours down there?
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. You probably don't get a whole lot of free time.
There's times where I can go do things that I want to do, and there's times where I have to be here all day, every day.
Do you kind of jump in where it's needed? Sometimes you'll be in the back flipping burgers, I can do
every position we have in house, and I will let everyone know that by doing it for them if I need to. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, owning a business. Well, I mean, like, just like I was gonna say. I mean,
it's all fun and games on paper.
It is all fun and games on paper, but actually running it and owning it, has it been as wonderful as you imagine? Like,
this is not my primary hair color.
I'll take that as it's challenging.
Well, I'm sure it is, but
it's
at the same time,
owning a business is very challenging, and there is nothing that I would give up right now with what we have, because I have an amazing support staff around me as well, and that's one thing since day one. I've always thought, bring in people that are better than you to help bring everything up. And if that doesn't work out, well, then keep bringing in people, keep bringing in better people. Better people is going to make a better product.
Yeah.
Plus he gets to wear a Lucky 13 shirt like he's wearing right now, versus he's not wearing a shirt for another company that, like, hey, this is his thing. He helped.
Pride of ownership, man.
Some people would tell you that I do that to a fault. Every day, all day, I will wear the same shirt, and it's not the exact same shirt, but I will wear a Lucky 13 shirt 9 times out of 10. Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. You got to be proud of where you're at here. But let's jump into it. We got a few questions. I always like to find out about the person that we're bringing on the podcast. So I want to have a few questions here to get to know Rob a little bit better. What is the most memorable concert or sporting event that you've been to?
Oh, wow.
Or first one that pops in your mind. I know that's a hard question even for me. It's like, gosh, there's so many good bands.
There's a lot that goes on there. I'm going to say probably one of the most memorable sporting events I've gone to. I went and watched one of my favorite football teams down in New Orleans. And that was the first time I had seen a professional NFL team, the first time I'd ever been in New Orleans, the first time that I had seen LSU play college football. I mean, it was a huge weekend for sports, and none of it that I've ever been involved in. That being said, baseball's kind of been my turn too since opening the bar. I wasn't a huge baseball fan before we opened the bar, and now anytime I'm out of town, I'm looking for a baseball game.
Really?
Where's the closest baseball game? Who can I go see? What's going on?
Do you get to watch baseball much being right by the stadium there?
I try. I really do try. I try to get out there as much as I can. I try to see the Utes play over there as much as I can, because they play. A lot of people don't know they play on the same baseball field.
That's cool. I have to get over there and check them out too.
What sport would you play? Like, if you could, are you into sports? Would you pick a sport and go for it?
When I grew up, I started off in the baseball field, dabbled in the football field, but coming back to it and watching the game, baseball's my preference. That's where I would be. Yeah.
If you could do anything on your next birthday, what would you like to do?
It's lame as it sounds. Relax.
Yeah.
Turn the phones off, turn everything off, and just hang out quietly.
That doesn't sound lame. That sounds awesome. Sounds like the perfect day.
What would you name the autobiography of your life?
Well, I fucked this up twice.
I like that. I like that.
That's so great.
If you could do a Skype call with any living person, who would it be?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Or if you need to think for a minute, I can always tighten this up.
There's a chef back on the East Coast, Chef Brian Duffy. Him and I text quite a bit back and forth. He used to be part of Bar Rescue. Him and believe it or not, Gordon Ramsay I like watching him just because we kind of have the same attitude of get your shit done the right fucking way and don't make me tell you twice.
So you said Bar Rescue?
Yeah.
What was Bar? Did you mention?
Sounds like a reality TV show.
It was a reality TV show where they'd come in and revamp bars and.
You know what? I think I've watched it.
Yeah.
Did they come to Lucky 13?
What? No.
No. I was gonna say, did we miss that part of the conversation?
No. Again, they've never been to Lucky 13.
What are some of your other hobbies and interests?
So hobbies, honestly. I've got 2 young sons, and being with them and hanging out and watching them come through sports and stuff like that. It's not a hobby as much as it is just what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Beyond hanging out with them and running my business in the last couple of years, I've really gotten into a love for agave spirits, tequila, mezcal, stuff like that. And so if I have a chance to get down to Mexico and go through distilleries and palenques and stuff like that, that's where I'm going to go.
Wow. Have you been to very many down there?
Oh, I've been down. 2015 was the first year I went down there, and I've been down at least once every year since, sometimes twice.
That's tequila. That's your drink of choice.
That is my drink of choice.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
On the side of tequila, I do not, only because I've been concentrating more on the mezcal side of it.
I need to try mezcal. A lot of people have been talking about it recently.
I'd never even heard of mezcal.
It's like it's like a sister spirit.
It's the
of
granddad.
Tequila? Oh, it's the granddad.
Tequila is a mezcal. Mezcal is not a tequila. It's there's whiskey, there's bourbon, Irish.
Gotcha.
It branches off like that. Mezcal's the umbrella of it all. But yeah, just going down there and seeing the people and the culture and the way things are still traditionally done, that there's so much passion in there for me, which is weird because before 2015, I'd never been to Mexico at all.
Until you really got into tequila.
Went to Mexico the first time in the first part of 2015, and then got into the spirit and realized, well, there's something I can go down there and do. And the second time I was in Mexico was the first year I was down in Mexico. And that was it. It was over at that
so
point.
Awesome.
Can you go get a shot of this mezcal at Lucky 13?
Absolutely.
Okay,
we have the largest mezcal selection in the state.
Ooh. Okay, so next time we go in, which one should I order?
It's all preferential. Okay. Mezcal is a lot like wine. Everything is based off terroir and they use different grapes in wine. Mezcal uses different agave plants. So every one of them is different that we have, but some are more offensive, some are less offensive, some are more smoky, some are less smoky. We've got a couple. If you come in there and you've never tried it before, we've got a couple that we can get you started off with.
Oh,
let's take you in there and try them out, Chrissy.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Let's talk Salt Lake City here for a minute as we kind of wrap this episode up. If someone was visiting Salt Lake City for, like, say, this upcoming weekend or for a day or two, what would you tell them to check out or do or experience? I've had, hikes or buildings or areas of town. I don't know. What would you say, Rob?
You know what? There's no part of downtown Salt Lake City that's not beautiful.
Sure.
You can walk around downtown, feel good, look around. Salt Lake's still probably a newer city compared to some others, but it's safe, it's clean, it's nice. There's nothing you cannot do in downtown. It's a good time. Look at it. You know, a lot of people have the misconception that Salt Lake, Utah, oh, you can't have any fun there. I have more fun in Salt Lake than some of the places I go to.
Yeah.
The mountains, man, there is not a single place I've been that's more beautiful than Salt Lake City. In our valley, you can just sit anywhere on any patio with any kind of drink and look at the mountains and have a good time.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. Past that, that's what I've got for that.
If you could change one or two things about Salt Lake City, is there something you would change?
Yes, but they are mostly political, so I'll leave that alone.
Fair enough. What are some of your other favorite local eating spots? Do you care to talk about some of your other places that you like to eat besides Lucky 13? I'm sure you got a favorite.
I've got a few. You know, there's the Faux spot across from Piper, obviously Trolley Wing Company, Lucky 13, Stone Ground. There's quite a few places. I mean, there is no lack for really good food in Salt Lake City, and that's something that we're kind of missing the bullet on. People think that we don't know what we're doing.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's so many great food places here?
I think that Salt Lake City is always just passed on, oh, the Mormons, oh, the drinking laws, oh, this and that and the other. There are amazing places to get food in this town, and I don't know why it hasn't hit mainstream, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's really weird because I feel like we have some of the best culinary experiences of anywhere.
We've got some amazing culinary experiences in Salt Lake City. The chef over at Stone Ground right now, he used to be one of my regulars at Trolley Wing Company, and never saw that coming. Man, I go in there and the food is over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the local breweries.
Yeah.
Just there's so much. There's so much for people to come and see and try here.
There's a big cloud over Salt Lake City, Utah. And, I was down in Mexico last week with a lot of chefs and people that had big names, and they still had the same misconception that Salt Lake is just, oh yeah.
How many wives
Salt
do you
Lake.
have?
Exactly.
How many?
You own a bar? Can you own a bar in Utah? Yeah. All right, great.
So let's run down the list for people that might not know where Lucky 13 is. So they
135 West, 1300 South, right next to the baseball field. You can get to it from Trax, I-15. I'll get you an Uber. Come on down.
And you also are set up at a lot of the events over the summer. I've seen you out and about a few, or you've done a couple.
Up until last year, we were doing the Arts Festival every single year, and love that situation.
Do you see yourself doing it this year or no?
Unfortunately, last year we had to bow out, and for reasons I'm not going to put out,
sure.
we're not going to be able to do it again this year.
Okay, and that was the only event, because for some reason I thought I saw you had a lot of events. Maybe
that was the big one, and that honestly that was the only one I wanted to do because it was so much fun, such good people.
Yeah,
it's just something that isn't in the cards right now.
I can respect that. Anything else you want to ask him before we let Rob go and enjoy the rest of his evening and probably go get a delicious burger?
I always like to know, just what's one piece of advice that you would give our listeners?
Be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. That's all I have to say.
Makes life a lot easier.
Don't let somebody try to define who you are. Be yourself.
I love it.
And I'll put links for Facebook and all of that. Are you on Instagram too?
Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. We've tried to hit most of them.
Okay, and I'll put.
We still don't know how the whole Pinterest thing works, but when we're done crafting, we'll figure it out.
She's a Pinterest.
I'm a Pinterest whore.
I'm with you. I still don't really get it either, but
it's
I'll
the
put
best place, you guys.
I'll put those links at iamsaltlake.com with this episode. Go in there, go into Lucky 13, and if you see Rob, say, hey, you know what? I heard you on I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Yeah, I'm the good looking one. It's easy to find me. And keep your eyes open. We got some good stuff coming.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's been fun chatting with you. I always tell people, let's catch up down the road. All right. Many thanks again to Rob Dutton for coming on the podcast and sharing his story. I think you had a hard time with this interview, Chrissy. You got so hungry. I could tell.
That's the thing. I got really hungry. And thinking about it again, I'm hungry now.
Hey, all the links to connect with Rob and Lucky 13, those are all going to be at iamsaltlake.com/320 for episode 320. If you've never been to Lucky 13, first of all, pull your head out of the hole that you've been in.
You have
go
to
there.
Go.
And I mean, you got to at least get the peanut butter burger.
Okay. Yes. Try the peanut butter burger. That is definitely a yes.
And I know we talked about it in the interview with Rob, you know, the fear that people have with this peanut butter burger. Go try it out. It's worth a risk.
I don't think you can go wrong. Honestly, you cannot order a bad burger there.
And if you go into Lucky 13, say, hey, where's Rob at? I want to tell him I heard him on I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hey, I want to tell you guys, so we got invited to set up a booth at the Open Streets event that's happening right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. It's not happening until May 5th. But I wanted to give everybody a heads up to let you know that we're going to be there. Keep an eye out for us.
We would love it if you'd just come stop by, give us a high five.
We're going to be doing some podcast recording. We're going to have stuff for sale, merchandise for sale, glasses, shot glasses. Hopefully we'll have some t-shirts by then. But basically the reason I wanted to bring this up, Chrissy, is because I figure there are people listening that might be part of future events that are going to be happening over the summer.
Yes.
And I would like to get I Am Salt Lake some more stuff set up, whether it's a booth or whether it's like a little bit of a corner, because I think it would be a lot of fun to start doing some on the street, man on the street podcast interviews.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
And there are so many events going on here in Salt Lake City over the summertime. Let's start getting those set up.
Yeah, so contact us if you're doing one. We'd love to be a part of it.
All the contact information is going to be there at iamsaltlake.com. I'll put a link up for the Open Streets event. It's going to be the Facebook event link, talking about all the bands that are going to be playing. It's going to happen all day, like from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll put that link up with episode 320, though. Reach out to us if you know of any other events going on in the city. Hey, that's going to do it for this episode. Many thanks again to our sponsors for this episode, Five Wives Vodka, which you can find at your local state liquor store, the Salt Lake Barber Company. Go ahead and book your haircut at saltlakebarberco.com, and the Melting Pot downtown on the corner of Market Street in Maine. Go support them. I know we say that every episode, but these are the people that are helping keep this podcast going and moving forward.
These are the people that really want to support local by supporting us, supporting you.
You all have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And good night, Grammy.